Good. Hello everybody, my name is David. I run the European office for Gamevil Come To Us, and in that position I was very fortunate to work on the Summoners War World Arena Championship 2017 tournament in Paris, which was one of 9 tournaments that we did last year. It was the first time that we did offline events for this game, where we had a global competition going, people competing about a total of $100,000 prize money, a world final in Los Angeles, and before that 9 qualifying tournaments in different parts of the world. You can see the cities up here. I worked on the Paris tournament, which was held on October 7, and before I explain to you why we did this and how we did this and all the kind of complexities that came with it, I'm just going to roll a really long video to give you the feeling of the Paris event.
Un événement sur Mohr. Je ne m'attendais pas à ce qu'il y ait autant de monde pour un jeu mobile au départ, et en fait ce jeu mobile il est génial. Du coup il y a plein de monde, il y a une grosse ambiance, plein de gens, c'est super convivial et c'est vachement cool.
C'est super cool et on peut voir des grosses brutes comme Casbon par exemple, et puis on voit vraiment qu'il y a une différence entre le PVP et le PVE. C'est vraiment cool de voir ce genre de choses.
Here we go. Kabzan goes for the defense lead, not the Zeros lead.
Resistant. Does get resistant with the Heather. He has to kill right here.
But this kills the Heather.
10
It kills everything.
It's the first time I take place to something organized by the Come To Us. It was amazing, really gorgeous. I hope they will do more events like this one.
He's gonna detonate it now with the.
Now he's gonna detonate it.
Wow, that's gonna be it.
And that will take down Delphoy.
Wow.
Such a close match.
What a great best of 5 here.
And this is insane.
I was just about to say,
really well fought.
So as you can see, this was a pretty big deal for us. We had over 1,000 people come out to Paris to attend this event in person. We had about 23,000 peak viewers on the live stream, which went for about 6 or 7 hours in total. We did a stream in 10 languages, all major European in 5 languages, sorry, with 10 people. All major European languages, English, German, French. We did a Russian stream and an Italian stream on YouTube and Twitch. We were also the #1 top grossing game in France, Switzerland, and Netherlands around the time of this tournament. We were the #2 top grossing game in Germany. So it was just very, very exciting for us, a very, very big deal. And when we started talking about this, we didn't know it was going to turn out like that. And I think the biggest question that maybe also you might have is why did we even do this? Why did we even put this burden on ourselves? Because it was a lot of work for all our global organization. And there are several reasons for why we wanted to do this. The first one, I think, was to just give back to our community. Summoners War is by now about 3.5 years old. It's an RPG game that has continuously evolved and grown bigger and bigger and grown more successful. We've done large-scale marketing campaigns for this game, big TV spend, big influencer marketing spend, and so this time we wanted to do something where the players also get something back. We also, of course, wanted to highlight a new mode that was introduced into the game in March 2017, which was the real-time arena. So before, Summoners War was, you could say, a PvE RPG. Of course, there was also player versus player combat, but it was asynchronous. I would put my defense, you would attack it, you would just play, the defense would be played by the computer. So there was competition, and there was PvP, and there's also guild battles, but it was all asynchronous. And in March, we introduced a real-time arena, which is now in the 4th season, by the way. And so that was a big feature that we wanted to highlight. And so we started experimenting with different events, and we saw the potential in this real-time arena to also think about streaming the matches, streaming the competitions, involving the community and the streamers that we already have. And so what we started was we did several test events to see how the reception would be to PvP. And we did some small-scale events in Korea, and then we did a relatively big invitational tournament in June in New York together with Amazon, which generated a lot of views. It generated a lot of revenue, surprisingly. It generated a lot of new users, and we got a lot of good feedback from our community. So that was one thing where we thought, okay, this has a lot of interest, and we should pursue more. So I talked about the real-time PvP. We also did more community events. This is a picture from a community event in France that was held in July and was actually not organized by us. This was organized by the Summoners War TV community. It's a French community. They do a lot of streaming. It's like 20 different people that do very in-depth Summoners War streams, and we just piggybacked and kind of sponsored this event that happened over the course of a Japan Expo, and there was like 400 people coming out to see Summoners War and to meet their friends from all over the world. So we thought, okay, this is also a big deal. And then the next event that we did was Amazon. Was the Gamescom in Cologne. We had a small stage at the Amazon booth, and again we had a surprisingly large amount of people come out and watch streamers of our game just explain the game. Not even like we didn't really put a lot of effort into this, if you will. Like we had about 2 hours per day of content, streamers just playing the game. We had one of our lead developers, Kim Tae-young, who was just taking a selfie there on the stage. We did a bit of a stream with him, a bit of an interview, and that also generated a lot of turnout. So all of this gave us the confidence that we could run offline events on a much bigger scale. So organizing events like this is quite complicated, and I'm going to talk like very high level because we don't have a lot of time about a few of the points that we had to think about to get this going. So if you want to create an offline tournament like this, I think there's basically 4 pillars that you need to look at. So first, you need players to attend the tournament. You need to have good people that have a good competition. That's relatively easy because you already have players in your game. Then you need an audience to attend the event. That's a lot harder because, to be honest, we didn't know how big the turnout would be. We had no idea. We could only guess and think and like estimate what would happen. You also need a venue, and getting a venue is very difficult. And then you also need a stream, which is maybe in some way the most important thing, because obviously even if it's 1,000 people coming, you want to reach a lot more people, and not everybody can go and watch this in person, but everybody can watch it on the live stream or watch it later on. So streaming is also very important. So those 4 things you kind of have to set up, and I will just talk a little bit about how we did that. So to get our players, as I said, was relatively easy. We did just a website for people to sign up. We selected based on their current World Arena ranking. That wasn't that hard. We got about 50,000 signups for the European tournament, for example, which was pretty big. We did it like that in all the other cities as well. Then we also did an online qualifier for people that could not like physically come to a location. We did this for Australia, Brazil, and basically wherever we didn't have a tournament. That also worked out well. And then the hard part is then once the people sign up and you select them, to then actually get them to be there in person at your event. Because of course, like the 50,000, or maybe the 20 people that you select of the 16 that should then play, they're not all going to come because some of them sign up on the wrong thing. They're not even European people. They're underage. Somebody else signed them up. So the communication and logistics of making sure that these people will actually come and that they have travel visa and that everything is like sorted out and you have their correct username and their correct gaming name, and all of these things are surprisingly complicated, and companies like ESL make their money pretty much by just organizing this stuff because it's very difficult. And then what we also did is we brought replacement players as well. So we ended up selecting 18 people to come to the tournament, and then of those 18, 4 dropped out even before they were flying in. So we had to rotate another 4 people in, and then we had 18 on site, of which 16 were playing. The other 2 were just in case one of the other 16 would have like a bad day. Then for the audience, that was really my biggest headache for a very long time. So, and I think almost everybody's headache, especially the people in Korea, and certainly also Eric and his team in US had the same worries about like getting people to the venue. So the first thing after I've done it, which is easy to say, if you build it, they will come. If you have a strong community, if people play your game, they're going to come out, and it's surprising how they will turn out. Like at every venue, we have people queuing up early in the morning, or even like midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., to be the first to get in. On some locations, we would give away selected amounts of like rare in-game statues of characters that are in the game that you cannot get anywhere else, so people would want to see that. But also just in Paris, we didn't do that, and we still had people there like 8 a.m. because they came from Germany and they didn't have anything else to do. They would just wait outside. It was mind-blowing. So we went to France, because, as I said before, we did this community event in Paris, and we thought the community is very strong. It's already quite organized. There's a lot of streaming going on in France, so we picked that city because it just seemed the safest bet in terms of getting people there, and that worked out well for us. The one advice I would share, if you are looking to doing this, and the one thing we will certainly do different, at least for Europe, is don't make the event free. So we were very on the fence of, can we ask people for like admission, or should we just make it free? Will they even come if they have to pay money? So we ended up making it free. And then what happened was we had a lot of people sign up, because of course we also gave stuff away at the event, and we gave like 750 crystals for the game, which is a big prize because you can use that to summon like 11 mystical scrolls, and that could get you a lot of good rewards. So when we promoted this in-game, people are just selective. They only read free crystals. So of course they sign up. They didn't even, like a lot of people I'm sure didn't understand that they would have to physically come to Paris. So we ended up with like a lot of tickets sold, but kind of unsure if like really are 200 people from Russia going to fly to Paris for this event? We don't know. So next time we would definitely charge a fee, maybe like 10 bucks, 20 bucks, and then give in-game rewards and free drinks and whatnot to make sure that it's really worth people's while. But we would charge a nominal fee because that would give us a lot more security. So even on the day, on the Saturday, I was really, really scared. And then when I went outside at around 11 a.m. and there was this long queue that you just saw, everything dropped from my heart, and I was just really happy because we got a good turnout and we were very lucky. And then the last point for the audience, if you do this event and you're looking at like 16 matches to play, and maybe even you want to do like double elimination, which we didn't, it's going to take a long time. There's a lot of games that will be played on the stage. So you will think that, okay, we need to entertain people. Like they're gonna get bored of the matches. And to some extent, that may be true. You need to do stuff to entertain people. We did small games in between where we would make like who has the most mystical scrolls, guess the monster, small things that would also have something to do with Summoner's War. And that went very well because it was all entertaining for the people in the audience, and it happened on the stage, but it was still a break from the tournament games. What we tried in other venues was we also created this like experience where you would go around and like do challenges and have other programs, and that was fun and cool, but at the same time it was also maybe distracting from the games because then people feel like they miss out. So that's also something you have to balance. If you do too much other entertainment, people start not looking at the games in the seats, so that is like, that feels a bit empty then. So that is one of the challenges. And then for the venue, we ended up with this beautiful Art Deco theater in France, which was a really nice contrast between like, you know, this technical iPhone, iPad, Android phone, cool graphics. Was really nice. It worked really, really well. Other countries, I think, had the benefit of having a more established esports culture. Like in Korea, for example, it's relatively easy to just find an esports venue. Even in the US, there are venues that just do esports. And these are like modern and clean, and all your streaming is taken care of, and your Wi-Fi is fine. But for us, I was very happy that we had this venue because it had a little bit more character than the others. But it's not like we had a lot of choice either, because we decided to, like, when we really locked this down, we had about 3 months to set everything up, which is just not enough. It's very, very short. So getting a venue or booking a venue in France while people in France are on summer holiday is not easy at all. So we were very, very happy to finally get this. And without going into detail, a lot of things will go wrong in like the venue booking. So I just suggest do it early and make sure the Wi-Fi is good, because that's of course also a big deal for mobile games. I think we were very concerned when we saw this Pokemon Go Fest disaster spreading across the news, where people would come together to play Pokemon Go and then they didn't have like reception. So that kind of defeats the whole purpose, right? For us, I mean, while we didn't expect, like, the audience wasn't supposed to play, it was enough if the guys on the stage would play. Of course, our audience would still play because it's a mobile game, and everybody had the game open while watching, and everybody was doing summons and doing stuff. So Wi-Fi is, of course, hugely important if you do a mobile gaming event. And then the next part, I think, is the live stream. We worked very, very closely with our community, so we got streamers for each language, which are already doing their own Twitch or YouTube show. You can see here on the picture, this is Cap Caro and Robbe. They are the two like main German streamers. In the back, you can see Island Grown and Shredded Puzzle, who are very strong international streamers for Summoners War. One of them is from Pakistan. The other guy is from Hawaii. They came out to Paris to host this event. And we had 2 Italians, we had 2 Russians that were also community players. And that was very tricky integrating them into the whole thing, because typically if you look back at the esports venue, the streamers will have like their own caster cabin, and they will be kind of removed from the action, but they have everything set up. Here, since it was a theater, people were actually sitting in the back row. So like where the tech guys are here, this was where our streamers were. So they actually had, like, their camera had a view of the whole venue, and in some ways this was actually very good for the stream, because it was very lively and very loud, and people were clapping and like coming to the streamers and hanging out with them and talking with them. So that was very good for our stream. We created our own Summoners War esports channel on YouTube to host all this. Google was very kind to feature us as well in the Play Store, but we also streamed on like the individual Twitch channels of the casters. We did a stream on VK, which was the most watched stream on VK on that day. So that was also really cool for us. And to wrap up, I'm just going to go through the results of this whole thing. So we had over 1,000 people attend. We were top 1 grossing in France, Netherlands, Switzerland, top 1 in Germany. We were the most watched live stream on VK. We had 22,000 peak concurrent viewers, but about like 20,000 for almost the whole day. And it's important to say that on the same day, we also had the Tokyo tournament and the New York tournament right after. So it was like a whole day of Summoners War. We also got a lot of press attention, which was very nice for us. So in the lead up for this event, we were on Game 1 TV in France. We were in Corriere della Sera in Italy, in the actual print newspaper after the event, reviewing the thing. We had Machinima come out from the UK, making a nice video. So of course, getting attention and press attention for our title was also a very important part of this whole venture. And when we announced the tournament, we had a really nice news day on Pocket Gamers. We had kind of like 5 articles at the same time on the site on that day. And then as we had the individual events, press would come and check it out. And in the lead up to it, especially in France, of course, we got a lot of coverage on also like mainstream gaming media, which is typically very critical of gaming events. We even got on Kotaku.com with our world final, even if that was maybe a bit controversial news. And then the last takeaway of this event, I think, would be the connection that we build with our streamers and with our players, which is really, really valuable for us going forward. Because of course we will be looking at doing more things like this. We're evaluating different conferences, our own event, another tournament show like this. Nothing is like decided yet, so I can't announce, but of course it's been a big deal for us, and we want to continue in some way. And working with the players is really important, because Summoners War is a complicated game. It's not easy to understand. You need people that can explain what's going on really well, and for that you need the top streamers and the top players. And we now have a really strong relation with these guys. We're like chatting online with all of them like every day. We're asking them on specific issues in the game, balancing issues, security issues in the game. They give us their feedback, and then they carry this into their community as well. So what you also shouldn't underestimate is how connected your players actually are. So when we chose the top 16 people to come to Paris, everybody knew. Like all the top players in Europe knew, because they're all in the same guilds and they're fighting against each other anyway, and they're online chatting with each other. So this effect was also very beneficial for us. And I think with that, I'm done, and I leave it up to questions if there's any.